Alrighty, end of sprint one. Sprint one went pretty well. I'd say I got a lot done, especially in the tech development part. As you can see, there's a lot of work in tech and in research. Turns out that for 403, we have to do a lot of reading, which works really well for what I'm doing because then I do a lot of reading. So if we go through each of the stories, I did a ton of reading, which has been really helpful in developing metrics and creating a very well thought through annotated bibliography. So I think that that's been a really good use of my time. Also it's required in 403, but really it's been a good way for me to focus on what I'm doing. I would say I'm getting a lot out of that. The next story was to identify methods for capturing required data. I developed a ton of tech, which is great. I now have 4 metrics that I'm capturing, which is really exciting. Which is actually further down. It's on here. It's the implementing metrics. But I was also able to capture a lot of the things that I want to. The only thing that's still up in the air is browser searches, which I haven't put in the new sprint, but I should add that in there to at least continue to go through that. I did run some user testing. I only actually ended up running 1 test. There are 2 tests. One was an initial test, which went really well. Second one was actually with all of DTR, or at least all of DTR who was there during Grace Hopper. So I got a lot of great feedback from that, which was very exciting. I got to catch up with the DTR team, and then I did a lot of refactoring at the end of the sprint in order to prep the code for the next sprint. So sprint 2, here we go. So it starts out, this is all blank because I don't know which articles we're reading yet, but 5 articles for week 1, 5 articles for week 2. That's more than I predicted for last week in terms of I predicted 3 and 3, but I ended up reading 5, so I think I'm going to stick with that because I think it's a better estimate for how I'm going to end up spending my time. I need to create better tests, so I'm setting aside a good chunk of time for creating a debugging problem, a harder debugging problem, and a harder development problem so that I can get better tests. I also want to conduct those tests, which means finding people. Oh, that was too fast. Finding people to test with, conducting the tests, and then organizing that data. I also want to keep implementing metrics. You notice that I have not put in here which metrics I'm implementing, but I have put in some time to decide which metrics should be implemented next. I want to learn from people who work with novice programmers, which means interviewing professors and TAs to understand what their perspective is with novice programmers. So I'm going to prep interview questions, get feedback on that, and then prep interview questions again, and then interview and analyze data. I have this big sheet that kind of is worrying to me about questions that I have about the metrics that I've implemented. So I wanted to set aside time to focus on talking to Nell and then working on my own on how to answer some of those questions and make a plan moving forward. And even if those questions aren't answered by the end of the sprint, if I have a plan for how I'm going to answer those questions, that's what I would like. Finally, I'm going to catch up with the undergrad. Oh, sorry, I had that scrolled over. Finally, I'm going to catch up with the undergrad team because they were at Grace Hopper, so I wanted to make sure I put that in there to make sure it gets done. And I am going to actually put in collecting data and get browser searches in here to make sure that I have time, set aside time for that. So otherwise, that is my plan for this sprint, and hopefully it goes well.